Good afternoon. My name is Laura Jacobs, and I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey. We are a nonprofit organization that works for the education and prevention of brain injury throughout the state of New Jersey. Today's webinar, titled Learning Travel Skills to Lead to Independent Mobility in the Community, will talk about planning trips, accessible features on New Jersey Transit, additional transportation resources, and so much more. We are excited to have with us today Melody Bundy, who is a research coordinator for New Jersey Travel Independence Program at Rutgers University, with a collective of over 10 years experience in travel training. Most of her research initiates targets improving access to transportation for disadvantaged populations, including people with disabilities and older adults. Ms. Bundy received her Master's of Public Administration degree in Nonprofit Management from Capella University. So with no further ado, Melody Bundy.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. This is Melody Bundy. I'm here with from NJTIP at Rutgers. We want to thank the Beyond, the Brain Injury Association of New Jersey for inviting us, NJTIP at Rutgers, to present on this great and important topic of transportation. So we're going to begin. First, we want to take a poll to see of the participants that are currently on the line. Have you or your family member used any form of the following transportation since January 1st, 2019? So we'll give you a couple minutes to vote. And it's looking like from the results as they're coming in, majority of the people on the call use personal car, and some people use rail. So that's a great indication for us that this training hopefully be very beneficial to the people on the line. And here in New Jersey, mostly everybody uses personal cars, because sometimes if you're not familiar with the transportation or navigating it can be kind of hard. So let me give you, so here is a list of different mobility options that are available here in New Jersey. And the major transportation provider is NJ Transit, which provides the local bus services, and that's within the community, as well as they do interstate buses, which go in and out of New York City, as well as in and out of Philadelphia. Most of the commuter lines or the interstate lines that go out in and out of New York, those are buses that you don't have to have exact fare. They're called full service lines, and the bus driver will give you change. But on the local buses, you have to have exact change. The rail is another option that people can use to get around. You could go as far as Boston or even further, or stay within New Jersey. There's 12 commuter rail lines and 167 train stations in the NJ Transit fleet. So there's different transit options. There's 3 light rail lines, and there's about 60 light rail stations. So the light rail, if you might not have heard of it, is similar to the subway here in New Jersey. They call it the light rail. It's available in the Hudson-Bergen area. They have a light rail. Then there's the Newark, Bloomfield, Belleville light rail. And then there's also the River line, which is in the Camden, Burlington County area light rail that's available. Also, there's the subway that you could use here in New Jersey, the PATH train. There's shuttle services, paratransit. Each county has a paratransit, which we'll go more into detail a little later on in the presentation, as well as ferries. We also have in New Jersey available taxis, Uber, Lyft, and Google Grandparents. That's what GGG stands for. And we'll go more into detail later on in this webinar. So the mission of NJTIP is to increase the independency and self-sufficiency of people with disabilities, older adults, and others by empowering them to use public transportation. NJTIP started as a pilot program about we had our 10-year anniversary last year, so we're about to be 11 years old, and we had our pilot program based on New Jersey Transit wanted to see if we train people with disabilities and seniors how to use public transportation, will that be able to empower them more to be willing to use public transportation? And since then, we've at NJTIP have trained over 10,000 people directly through our different training modules that I'll explain shortly. So NJTIP started 11 years ago. We were a small nonprofit in Livingston, New Jersey, and about 6 years ago, we joined Voorhees Transportation Center, which is a part of Rutgers University, where now we're more than just doing the service of travel training. We're also doing research and development and innovative transportation policy for people that may be disadvantaged, as well as people with disabilities and seniors. So what are the services that we offer at TIP that you might wonder? One of the services is one-on-one instruction. And in one-on-one instruction, a travel instructor comes to the home to meet with the client, and they take the trip one-on-one because they have a specific destination that the client will be going to on a regular basis. We have a couple of different funding services or sources for one-on-one instruction. DVRS, if a person has been a part of the DVRS system, we can get a referral and a voucher to train them through that process. We also receive funding through NJ Transit for clients that may have used AccessLink in the past or have applied for AccessLink, as well as we have 5310 funds, and that's to serve anyone in 8 counties that we serve between Essex, Morris, Passaic, Hudson, Bergen, Middlesex, Camden, and Burlington County. We also do small group instruction, and our small group instruction, it's for, we could do it in a class setting, at a school, as well as in a community setting. So sometimes just a camaraderie of individuals going on the same trip with you. We found that in the past they continue on taking that trip with their friends. So it's a great way to get out and improve quality of life, as well as we offer connected transit to professionals. And that's a half-day or a 2-hour training where we go into different agencies or schools, and we go over different transportation tools that are available that they can use to assist their clients or students with using public transportation. Currently, our program, our one-on-one travel instruction, we have trained over 445 graduates. And the steps of our training includes, first we have an introduction where we might meet someone at a job fair or a transition fair or just being in the community where we've done a connected transit at an agency, or we just did maybe came to a staff meeting or did a group training at an agency where we get to meet the client in their natural setting, and then from there we conduct an intake, and that takes place in their home or at a Dunkin' Donuts, a place that's mutually convenient, where we go over the different transit options that are available, and we find out a gauge of their current use of public transportation, as well as we conduct a route check. And in conducting the route check, with the travel instructor pre-travels the trip, so that they can make sure that the trip is an accessible trip, that the trip makes sense for the client so that they can get to their destination. Also, on vehicle onboard training, we provide onboard training. So if someone has to get to work at 8 a.m., we'll meet the person at their home at 7 a.m. so that they could travel to get to work by 8 a.m., where we've gone over how to read the bus fare and our different skills that I'm going to review shortly. And then we also follow up, and later, once they've learned the skills, we shadow, where we step back and make sure that they understand the trip. And from there, we are available for retraining as necessary if maybe their destination change or their origin if they move to a new location. So currently, NJ TIP at Rutgers has 27 independent skills, and they fall in the following categories: interacting with appropriate strangers. That could also include, are they able to talk to a police officer if something happens? Can they speak to the bus driver, or are they nervous? We review boarding, signaling and exiting, how to make sure the bus stops for you and the bus doesn't pass you by. Also, we make sure people have appropriate social skills and know how to be comfortable on the bus, and how to interact if someone comes to them, what to do if you miss your bus, what to do if you miss your transfer, and different ways to be available and appropriate in the community, as well as how to handle fares. We also show clients how to use wayfinding techniques, from our Google Maps to the transit app, which we'll review shortly. So we're about to start a video, which is a testimonial of one of our clients that have used NJ TIP at Rutgers Services. And you can hear from him. I can keep talking, but it's good to hear from the client. And after that, we'll just open the floor for some questions. So if anyone has any questions, we'll in regards to the one-on-one training. And then our next section is going to be about accessible features and access link. So let's watch the video.
Melody, while we're waiting for the streaming, would you like to open up the questions now?
Yes, we could do the questions now.
Okay, so one of the questions that came in is, I have a client from Essex County that is trying to get to work. Will you be able to assist them? And then what kind of tools do you use when training individuals that have a brain injury?
So some of the tools that we use when we're training individuals with a disability is we make picture books, and in the picture books, the travel instructor will pre-travel the trip and take pictures of the trip so that while the client's out in the field, they could flip through the pictures. Also, we've empowered clients to take pictures on their cell phones and even take notes on their cell phone if they're able to, so that when they're in transit, they'll just be looking on their cell phone so people won't see them carrying a big old sheet of paper, seeming lost and stuff like that, so they'll be able to look comfortable in the community. And yes, we're able to train individuals in Essex County. Currently, we serve clients in Passaic, Bergen, Essex, Hudson, Union, Middlesex, and Morris County through our 101 program, as well as our 5310 program. In Somerset and in Camden County, those are the counties that we only are able to service people on our Transit 101 side, as well as in Mercer and Burlington County. We only serve them in our 5310 county. So depending on during the intake, the travel instructor will make an assessment to figure out which funding stream we would need to use. You don't have to figure that out. The travel instructor will figure it out based on the intake meeting with the client.
Wonderful, thank you. I have another question. I work in the field also with seniors. How do you work with seniors with this program?
Yeah, so the way we work with seniors is we have community groups, small groups, and we go with them on group outings. We've gone in Bergen County. We've done some trips to Secaucus Junction, which is really a great opportunity because we're able to take the train with the seniors to reinforce the skills that they went over in the class. And on the train, Secaucus Junction, which is a great destination because at Secaucus Junction, it can connect you to anywhere in the United States, from going to the Newark Airport, to travel on a plane somewhere, or even going into New York City to enjoy the city or to see a play or a program in the city. So it's many ways that, and we also do one-on-one training for seniors if needed or interested.
Beautiful. And I believe the video now works, so we can...
Okay, so we'll try it again.
Yeah, we're going to try it once more time.
Okay, sounds great.
My name is Alberto, and I'm from Project Search at Overlook Medical Center. What I learned about the New Jersey tip is how to take the train back to Westfield from Plainfield. Yes, I actually am finally gaining a lot more experience. I feel like I'm getting more comfortable on the road than being afraid or so.
All right, so that was a snippet. That was a snippet of Albert Ortiz's testimonial about NJTIP and our travel training program. So he was a client that we work with in our Project Search program, which is like a small group, but a one-on-one situation where we teach them how to get to, everyone has the same destination of going to an internship at Overlook Hospital. And so we trained him how to get from his home to Overlook Hospital. And the internship is a year-long program. We also assist in Hudson County and travel training those clients how to get to their various internship locations. And what Albert was saying is that not only did he learn how to use public transportation, it also improved his quality of life because he also felt more independent to do other things. So that's why we feel as travel instruction and learning how to use public transportation is very important, and we hope that from this call some other people become interested in connecting with NJTIP for travel training services. So if you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comment section, but we're going to move on to the next section in regards to accessible features on public transportation and access link. So some of the accessible features on the bus is all of New Jersey transit buses are 100% accessible. So if it's a bus that has NJ Transit on the side, it's a fully accessible bus, meaning that it's a lift. That's what the picture is an individual using the lift. And you can see he does not have a mobility device. He doesn't have a special card. So anyone is able to use the lift. You don't need to have a mobility device, a special card. You just need to request and ask for it, and the bus driver will deploy the lift. Also, they have the kneeling feature, and what the kneeling feature does, it allows the bus to lower down to the curb so that you don't have to make that first big step isn't so big. Once the bus comes down to the curb, that first step is a lot easier. As well as on the buses, they have priority seating towards the front of the bus for people with disabilities, seniors, and pregnant women. Also, but be in mind, some people may have a hidden disability that may be sitting in that area, so they don't ask for any certain things. Also, they make announcements on the bus, internal and external. So if you have a visual impairment, when the bus stops, you'll hear it say 48 Elizabeth so that you can know that that's your bus. Also, while you're in the bus, it will keep making announcements at each bus stop, so it could give you a signal when it's your time to press the yellow button to request your next stop. Also, you can, when you board, you can ask the bus driver, can you let me know when we get to my stop at Broaden Market so that he's aware and he'll give you a reminder. And just as a little story, recently we were on a bus with a group of seniors going to the mall, and the bus driver actually stopped the bus and got up and walked to the back of the bus to remind someone that they were at their bus stop, because he said the day before he missed his bus stop to go to work, so he ended up having to walk back. So the bus drivers are really there and available as long as you're, communicating with them and everything like that. Also on the buses, they do have securement and seat belts for people in wheelchairs. The seat belts and securement are only for people in the mobility devices. They don't have any securement or seat belts for people, since it's public transportation that's not in mobility devices. So the rails, about 75% of NJ Transit rail stations are accessible, and the way that you know that a rail station is accessible is because it'll have the universal accessibility sign as your indication to know that train station is accessible. And if it's accessible, it will have elevators, ramps, a mini high-level platform, a portable lift, where it means they'll bring out the lift. In Hoboken, they bring out the lift and crank it up for you, and then you can depart the train, and then they'll crank it down so that you can walk on a platform. So, and a note is, if you go to Hoboken, you just have to let the train conductor know that you need a portable lift, and then they'll deploy it for you. Also, there's at the train station is the yellow line that you're supposed to stand back from, as well as that is a detectable warning edge for anyone with a visual impairment. So when their train hits on it, it'll know that they're getting towards the end of the track. As well as they have bridge plates. You might not have seen it or noticed it, but at the train stations they have a black box, and in that black box is a bridge plate that the train conductor uses to connect and the train to the platform, so there's no more gap, and anyone can use that bridge plate. You just have to ask the train conductor. When you get on, you just tell the train conductor where your destination is, and from there you might be at your destination using a high-level platform, another bridge plate that is at that destination. Also, they have priority seating in the middle section of the train for people with disabilities as well as seniors. And they also have onboard station announcements also at the train so that you can know when your train is coming. And it's always before your stop so that you have time to prepare, because the trains in New Jersey, if you miss the stop in Shore Hills, the next one might be South Orange, and it's not walking distance. So that's why you got to make sure you're aware and prepared for your next stop announcement. So what can you expect from a public transit staff is all public transit staff have ADA sensitivity training, and that's the American with Disabilities Act training. So they should know how to deploy the lift and nail the bus. And this is something that all operators are supposed to do during their opening inspection before they pull out of the garage. Make sure that the lift can deploy, that the bus can nail before they pull out for the day. They also they can assist with boarding and deboarding the rail with the bridge plate, but a customer would need to be able to move their own wheelchair to be able to get on the bridge plate, because sometimes the operator, because your wheelchair is really an extension of yourself, and they don't want to violate your personal space by touching your wheelchair, since that's really an extension of yourself. Also, they can help in asking passengers to move out of priority seating. So if you're getting on the bus and there's no seating near the front, they can ask other passengers to move. They could call out your announcement like I mentioned before, and they confirm that you're on the correct bus and train, because you don't want to be getting on the train that's going to Elizabeth and you need to go to New York. So you always can ask the bus driver, and if you're on the wrong bus, he can assist you, or the train, they can assist you of connecting to the right train line or bus. So how to communicate with a transit staff is important that you always are polite. So you can say, please kneel the bus. You need to make sure you're specific. So it's good to learn the terminology. Please lower the lift. So, because if you say, can you just lower the bus, but you really need kneeling, so that, everyone is on the same communication. Also, you need to be firm, and please get the bridge plate now so that I can board the bus. And so that they're not thinking, oh, maybe they want another bus or another train. So just be clear of what you need. So the same way that you expect certain things from transit, you also make sure you communicate, because sometimes the bus driver may see an older woman, and some older women may get offended or older man might get offended if they kneel the bus. So it's better to just make sure you ask and communicate your needs to the bus driver as needed. So we have another poll question. Who can use reduced fare on NJ Transit bus, train, and light rail? So your options are people with disabilities, seniors, everyone, or all of the above. All right, so it looks like most of the responses are in, and it looks like it's kind of close between people with disabilities and all of the above, and then there's seniors. But everyone is correct, because it's people with disabilities can use the reduced fare card, as well as seniors over the age of 62. And that's a copy of the reduced fare card, and they're able to travel anytime with their reduced fare card ID, or an individual can use their Medicare card, which is their red, white, and blue card. And seniors can just use a form and card or an ID that has proof of age, that they can use. So it could be their driver's license, or it could be proof of age that they're over the age of 62. So the number right there on the screen is the number for the reduced fare program. It's open from 8:45 to 4:15 p.m. on weekdays. You can always Google NJ Transit reduced fare application, and you're able to pull it up. So the reduced fare application is two kinds. For New Jersey Transit, they have the one that is specific for a person with disability, and that person can have just for them, or they can have it with a guide if they have someone, a personal care attendant, that travels with them. And then the second option is for a senior, and the senior just needs to go to a bank to have it notarized saying that they're over the age of 62, but a person with disability would need to get it approved by a doctor confirming that they have a disability, whether it's temporary or permanent. So accessibility complaints and accommodations. So whenever you're doing an accessibility complaint, we understand sometimes it can be very frustrating. You were waiting at the bus stop for a very long time, and buses kept passing you by, and just the emotion of trying to convey that to NJ Transit. You might start saying, it was a bad driver, he didn't stop for me, but you just want to make sure when you document the incident, you is in a logical manner of the information and giving them the details, specific details about your trip. So that's why it's good to always keep your receipt when you're using public transportation. So if you do have an accessibility complaint, you can either call NJ Transit or log it on their website so that they're aware of the issues. Because if if you are having issues and you don't tell NJ Transit about it, they'll never be able to fix it because they weren't aware of them, of these different incidents. So you have to make sure NJ Transit is aware of them. And NJ Transit is, as a part of the ADA, is making sure that if they do receive an accessibility complaint, they do take it as a high priority, because they know that people with disabilities this is a part of their civil rights to be able to have access to public transportation. So they will investigate it, as well as speak to the individual bus driver or train operator, as well as have the manager research and find out what's going on to make sure that this problem does not continue. So the ADA, complimentary paratransit requirement, that's a part of New Jersey Transit, is Access Link. And Access Link is a service that's offered by a public transportation service that's offered by NJ Transit, and it shadows the local bus. And that's the buses that are not going in and out of New York. Those are the buses that's probably in different towns, like in Bergen County. It's not the buses that's the 100 series is normally the 700 series, because the 100 series are buses that's going in and out of New York. So, but Access Link shadows 3/4 of a mile of the local bus to get you to your destination. As long as your origin and your destination is 3/4 of a local mile. In order to be found eligible for Access Link, you have to have a disability that prevents you from boarding or departing or exiting from a regular fixed route bus. So that's the process of Access Link. And some things that we have heard recently with Access Link, they're in a process of upgrading their system where you can now do your reservations online. You can go onto the website to do your reservations online on Access Link. If you go to NJ Transit website and go to the Access Link online portal, you could do your reservations online, as well as they started a pilot of their Easy Pay system, which they just did their first pilot group of 1,500 people. So they're just starting that, where it's like a Easy Pass system where you'll have money on the card, and as your money deducts, then they'll reload and upload more money. You can upload more money onto your Access Link payment system. Also, you can cancel online without having to talk to Access Link representative or anything like that. So I'll take a break for a second to see if anyone has any questions about any of the accessibility features or some of the Access Link, some things about Access Link. So we'll do like about 3 questions or so.
Okay, so the first question that came in, why does my fare vary on Access Link when my origin and destination are the same?
So that's a good question. So sometimes your fare can vary on Access Link because Access Link is shadowing the local bus route. So if maybe from going to your job to your home, you would just have to take the 73 at 10 in the morning. But if you were to take the local bus in the afternoon, you might have to do a transfer trip. So then it has to mirror you having taken 2 buses, like maybe the 73 to the 21. So that's why it mirrors not just the bus stops, but also the cost, because you pay the full fare on Access Link. You don't get reduced fare on Access Link.
I have a question that came in from a person that has sustained a brain injury, and as they go to school, and they wanted to know why they can't, like if it's the same time every week, why can't they just call once and set that up that they have to call every day?
So when you call, if you can tell them that you have multiple appointments that you want, or multiple trips that you want to schedule in one call, as long as all of the trips are between 1 and 7 days, you can do one call to do multiple. Just before they hang up, you need to make sure, or when you first get on the line with them, you need to tell them that you need to call for multiple, that you want to schedule multiple trips on multiple days, and they'll be able to assist you with that.
A follow-up to that question was, what if it is like for a semester going over 3 or 4 months? Is there a certain time where they'll then take it, say, every Wednesday for the next 3 months?
Okay, so the way it works is a subscription service. So if it's every Wednesday for 3 months, that in order for it to become a subscription trip, you have to do at least 30 times to do that trip. So if you're only doing it every Wednesday, you probably, for 3 months, that's only 12. So it won't be enough, so you probably would have to either call in or use their website or even email them to set up your appointments. But you would have to do it each week until you do at least 30 trips.
And I think that segues into our next next question. How do I log into Access Link online?
Okay, so you log in. Your customer ID is your ID number that you got or when you first became an Access Link writer, and your PIN number is the last 4 digits of your cell phone number. So that's how you'll be able to log in. And once you book an appointment over the phone, you'll quickly be able to see it right on the computer online, your appointments.
So maybe we can move on now, and then we'll come to the...
Okay. All right. Sounds great. All right. So another poll question. What transportation options do you use that we have not mentioned? So maybe shuttles, paratransit, ferries, taxis, Uber and Lyft, or other. All right, great. It looks like most of the responses are in, and it looks like between people are either using Uber and Lyft or they're using paratransit to go to get around. So that's what we're going to go over with you next, paratransit as well as Uber and Lyft and different options that you have available. So the county paratransit in New Jersey is a 21 system, and each county has their own paratransit service. You can always go to your county and ask for the information for your transportation provider, as well as you could go onto NJ Transit website and you can click on the link for community transportation, and we'll give you the information about the paratransit provider available in your county. Excuse me. So service is for paratransit is for service to people with disabilities, older adults, and other transportation disadvantaged people. With paratransit, it's all on a donation system. Most services, some services do have a fixed route system, so that, or they have a certain day that they might go in town to maybe go to the VA hospital, or maybe go to ShopRite, or maybe go to the mall. So you always can contact your county paratransit to find out the schedule and how it works. It's normally a simple process to get on. You can always call them, and they can go over the details of how to sign up for the paratransit process. So other than the county paratransit, some towns and municipals have a Dial-A-Ride program, so you can contact your different city to ask them what kind of programs you have available for transportation. So like in Passaic County and Patterson, they have their own transportation that's available to them so that they can just call the Patterson transportation and they can take them to their different appointments, from doctor's appointments to work locations. In Hudson County, they take people to work locations. They also shuttle people from a parking lot if needed. Also, you can reach out to nonprofit or human services organizations, like in Hudson County, the Universal Cerebral Palsy Association. They offer transportation. You do not have to have CP or be a part of their organization. It's just a service that they offer is transportation to get around to certain areas, as well as Medicaid or medical vans you can call through your health insurance provider to sign up for different transportation with them, as well as we're going to go over a little bit more detail about taxis, Uber, and Lyft, as well as volunteer programs. And then you always can walk. If it's a lovely day, you can walk for mobility options. So Transportation Management Association. So in the state of New Jersey, there are 8 Transportation Management Associations, and what their goal is to find different transportation options that can assist people, not only people with disabilities or seniors, but the community in those areas on how to either commute to work, how to do a van pull. They have the community cars that can drive you around. They have ITN North Jersey. That is also a volunteer program where they can drive you to your destination. Some people use it to go from West Milford all the way down to the Newark Airport. So it's a different transportation management association that you could use. You can contact tmacouncil.org to find out what transportation provider is available for your county. And if I've been in meetings where some counties didn't have certain transportation, and the TMAs made an initiative to figure out ways to develop that kind of transportation because that seemed to be a need in that community. Also, there are transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft. So it pairs a passenger with the drivers. So they have, you could just use the Uber and Lyft app on your phone. So since most of the people on the call seem like they have used it. But for some people, they might not be comfortable using an app. They might not have a smartphone where they're able to use an app. So there's two programs that are available, Ride for Life, which is a part of Easy Ride, as well as GoGo Grandparents, which is another program that can be provided to you that can teach you about, it's not a program. It's a program that they'll actually link you to the different Uber and Lyft platforms. So you could call Ride for Life or you could call GoGo Grandparents, and they'll actually send an Uber or a Lyft to pick you up, or you can even have them pick up your grandparent, or you can have them pick up a client. So Ride for Life and GoGo Grandparents are also great. And just a note, at the end, we're going to share a list of all of the different resources that we're providing on the call to Laura so that she can actually post it either with this webcast or email it out to the people on this webcast so that you'll be aware of the different links that we're mentioning in the call or the webinar. Also, we have NJ211 and NJ Find a Ride, which is also another option for finding different transportation resources. You could either do it on the web or by calling to find out about different transportation that's accessible within. It can have things from a taxi to a carpool that maybe you weren't aware of. So we'll take a break for a second to see if, I'll take a break for a second to give you a chance to see if you have any questions on these other mobility options that are available.
So I had one question that came in, Melody. Do you think Uber and Lyft are safe for people with disabilities or seniors?
So Uber and Lyft, they do a clearance where the drivers have to do a background check. But if you're really nervous about a client or a family member using Uber and Lyft, you can always use services like Easy Ride or GoGo Grandparents, because now there's another level of accountability for the driver because they're in connection. Easy Ride, Ride for Life is in connection, as well as GoGo Grandparents are in connection with the drivers. So they'll be able to get feedback to find out if this is a good driver. They also put notes on the account. This is their person's first ride, they need assistance and stuff like that, so that the driver is aware of the situation, of the client's needs before they pick them up. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions or?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay. All right, good. So we'll move on to our last section, and this is trip planning tools. So we have it's about 4 different trip planning tools that you could use from the NJ Transit website, the MyBus, Google Maps, and Transit app. So we're going to first, we have a video of us using the NJ Transit website, and we wanted to quickly show you a video that we previously recorded of using the NJ Trip website for trip planning purposes.
Go to njtransit.com. Look at the upper left corner under the logo to find the trip planner. First, type in your travel from address, origin. Second, type in your travel to address, destination. Third, indicate date and time of travel. Fourth, check symbol for accessibility. 5, click Submit.
So we hope from that video you realize it's kind of it's a 5-step process to use the NJ Transit website just up in the right-hand corner to plan your trips to get to different destinations that you may need to go to. You always can decide if you only want to use a certain type of transportation, just the bus or the train or the light rail or say all. You also can click the accessibility button if you want to make sure that the ride is accessible. And then another thing, so sometimes if you're maybe not home or you don't have Wi-Fi connection on your phone, you can use the My Bus, and we have like a little small PowerPoint of just the steps of using the My Bus that I'll quickly go over. Chrissy, you have the My Bus? All right, well, I guess it's not available right now. So what the My Bus is, it lets you use a texting. You can text the bus stop using the stop ID, and each bus stop has their own stop ID to get to find out how many minutes away your bus is. So you could use the My Bus texting feature to text to find out based on a specific stop ID how many minutes your bus is away. Also, they have Google Maps, which is another way that you could go online and use Google Maps to plan your trip to see, as well as there's a transit app, which is a picture of it in the upper right corner. You could click based on where you are, and it will let you know when the bus is coming. All right, and then I think this is a small slideshow about some of the features of the transit app. So on the transit app, you can have your address. You can see what's nearby, the list of buses or Ubers that are nearby, as well as they have an expanded view where you can see additional information about maybe the time and the next time that the bus is coming. If you miss the 94 and 11 minutes, you know you have an hour and 22 minutes. So those are the kind of things to be aware of. Also, they have the route preview, so if you're not sure if you're getting on the right 94, it tells you all of the different bus stops that the bus is making so that you can have a list of the different stops, as well as it has the map. So you can use your map to see, maybe you need to go to a certain cross street. You can use the map to see if that cross street, if their bus will be crossing that cross street, or how far you might have to walk if you're taking a different bus than you normally take. Also, you can put on the search line a certain destination. Maybe you're not there yet. You could put in the destination, and it can ask you, it'll let you know direction. Do you want directions there? Do you want it to show nearby lines? So you could use that feature as well. So they also could do the trip planning. So maybe if you want to plan something in advance, you could do that also with the Transit app. And then they have different route itineraries where you could have alarms. So it'll tell you you need to leave in 6 minutes, how many minutes you have at your transfer point, or if you want to set different kinds of alarms and things like that. You also can change the departure options. Maybe you want to leave on a different day or a different time. So it gives you those options as well. Okay. And so next we'll just show you, then we also have the NJ Transit app, which is another option that you could use. And that's just giving you information about departure vision and different things about NJ Transit. So are there any questions about trip planning tools?
Yes, well, you got a few comments that everybody's very interested in these and that it's great information. A question that came in, how much does the Transit app cost?
Oh, the Transit app is free of charge. There's no cost for that.
That is wonderful. So that was the only question that came in so far on that.
Okay. So another thing, so I'll just keep on moving ahead, and then we can always touch base to any other questions we might have got in the past. So also when using public transportation, you have to make sure, since you're out in the community or your clients are out in the community, making sure that they're staying safe and they're able to be seen and they can see what's going on, making sure you're making eye contact with the driver, cross in well-lit areas, wear bright and retro-reflective clothing, as well as using a flashlight so that you can, if it's at night, so that you can see. Some areas, they even have a flag that you can wave when you're crossing the street so that the vehicles can see that you're crossing the street, and then you put it on the post when you cross the street. But while you're crossing, you could wave the flag so that you could be safe and in the community. So I guess the last poll for today is, how can we help you? Do you have any things that you might need help with from just hearing this call, maybe concierge, travel training, one-on-one, group training, or do you have any specific questions? Okay, so it looks like we've got some responses in, and some people are interested in our concierge service. And what our concierge service is, where you can always go to our website, njtip.rutgers.edu, and we'll give you information about how to plan your trip or just planning your trip for you. Are there any other questions that maybe we overlooked, Laura, that maybe want to go back to, or have I answered them all?
I believe you answered all the questions that came in to me. I have them in front of me. I went through all of them. Like I said, I'm receiving some comments, not questions, more so that the information you're giving is so great that they can use it.
Oh, great.
Just one last reminder, if anyone in the audience listening right now has a question, please type it in on the side under Q&A or comments, and then we can get it to you.
And Laura, and also since Laura has my information, and maybe you don't have a question at this time, and maybe you think of a question later, you can always email Laura, and I'll be available to answer your questions at a later time if it doesn't come up. Because sometimes as soon as you get off the call or you're talking to someone later on, maybe a question might pop up. So I'll still be available to answer those questions as well.
Beautiful. And I know before you had mentioned that if anyone wanted the items to be emailed to them, that I would send that to them. If you are interested in having that emailed to you, please shoot me an email with your email address on it, of course, to, so if you have a pen, pick it up now, LJACOBS, that's L Jacobs, at BIANJ.org. Again, if you'd like those emailed to you, please shoot me an email at my email address here at the Brain Injury Alliance. And my email address is ljacobs, LJACOBS, at BIANJ.org. And at this time, I would really like to thank you, Melody Bundy, for volunteering your time to talk on this most important and needed topic. This webinar, along with many other great topics, will be available within the week or on our website at bianj.org/webinars.